Hello and welcome to the OK Takes podcast. I am Matt Weiner, and as always, I'm joined by my fellow capo, Edward Vento. As of 8:08 a.m. West Coast time, I'm just Mr. Hunky Dory now that Clay Helton has finally been fired from USC. So I get a week-long high of just letting my brain build expectations that will never be met. But it's awesome. I love where I'm at right now. It's like euphoria. So besides USC talk, Clay Helton getting fired talk, we got some recaps for Oregon, Ohio State, and then we're going to do some previews for week 3. It's going to do a little bit of talk on ASU versus BYU. We got a little bit of UCLA Fresno State, one of the games I'm looking most forward to, and then some Auburn Penn State. So great packed show. Let's do it. But before diving in, let's start with some 9/11 talk, because Saturday, I think, was a perfect way to commemorate what happened, and then also shows you why college football is so great.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, it's just one of those days where it's like, it feels like the only day of the year where everyone in this country is like, can come together as one and honor what had happened and honor the fallen. And college football just is poetic in the way they do that, especially watching the military academies like Army and Navy. It's like, it's just really touching.
Because I want to touch on especially what Army's done and showing you how great tradition is and why it's so important to build culture or for the Army culture, and why it feels good. Like watching Army run out the tunnel, holding American flags just high and proud was awesome. And it just shows you, like, if college football has freedom to build a culture you don't really get in the NFL and you don't really get from many other professional sports. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's poetic. We finally realized, okay, maybe we could just take one day to not hate each other and realize that when shit really gets real and when shit happens and shit hits the fan, we actually come together and we love to help one another. It's just what happens. In our true survival instincts, we like to help.
Yeah. And I mean, I wish it was like that every day, but it's not. And Saturday was a really good proof that we can do that. And, you know, like we've been saying, college football, you're right, has that freedom to set up that culture. And it really shows on days like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So now transitioning to something much lighter, before we get into actual football talk, just a little bit of something that is not as heavy. Okay, I think the chicken taco from Taco Bell is the new papadilla for football season.
Did you like it?
Okay, so I have yet to try it.
Okay,
I don't have an opinion yet because I didn't try the orange Coke when it was like March Madness 2019. I didn't even try the papadilla. The Dodgers have the Jumbo Jack. I still haven't tried a Jumbo Jack. So but what is the opinion on it? Because I think you were telling me that you already had it.
Yeah, so I had it. Look, it's kind of mid. I'm not gonna lie. It's not the best. It's just a chicken tender slapped in like bread. And it's not a sandwich. They call it the chicken sandwich taco. It's not a sandwich. I'm sorry. A sandwich requires 2 pieces of bread. This is 1 piece of bread with sauce and a chicken tender in it. That's all it is.
Okay, well, embrace the bait. What's the difference between that and because I know what some people do at Cane's is they split the Texas toast and then they put the chicken tender in the middle and then drizzle littles of the Cane's sauce on top. So what's the difference between that? So is that a sandwich versus the chicken taco?
Do they split the toast into 2 different pieces?
They don't split into 2 different pieces. It's almost like
they fold it.
Yeah, so they cut it in half. So I guess they do cut it in half, but it's still separate, but it's not separated.
Okay, well, my definition of a sandwich is it has to be 2 separate pieces of bread that make the structure of the item. Like a hot dog's not a sandwich because that's 1 piece of bread. Whereas if you really get down to it, I guess a burger could be considered a sandwich, but a burger is like its own type of food. So like, I just think a sandwich has to be piece of bread and then the filling and then piece of bread.
That's so no Venus flytrap, completely separate.
No, you can't. It has to be 2 separate pieces of bread. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We're
All
getting into
right.
like a hot dog to me is closer to a taco than it is to a sandwich.
That's 10 out of 10 take. Okay.
Thank you.
That's actually peak Galaxy brain take.
I mean, why? Like, I could go on for days and I won't, but it's just not a sandwich. I'm sorry, Taco Bell. You tried to enter into the fight with Popeyes and Chick-fil-A and every other place, but you failed. You made another taco with a chicken tender in it.
Very good take. All right. So now let's get into some actual football talk. So I'm not even going to give my opinion on this first. What is it like as a UCLA fan watching the downfall of USC?
Like, I can look at it from an outside point of view and be like, it's kind of sad to see a giant like that not like kind of fall, kind of how the Lakers were. I imagine Celtics fans didn't care, but from an outside point of view, they could be like, man, it's better when the Lakers are better. College football is better when USC is better. But I don't care because it's really funny seeing them lose to Stanford and seeing them fire their coach 2 games into the season. But Helton had it coming, man. He just wasn't the guy. I mean, everybody said, oh, he's a nice guy. He's this, he's that. I don't know if you necessarily need a nice guy to win.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's perfect. You're saying that. I was waiting for the but, all these things, but
yeah, but it's kind of funny to see it happen. Honestly, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, that's what sports are for. You just get to dunk. We love a good dunk. So now my opinion. So I'm going to start with where my mind was at USC Stanford, because watching USC Stanford, I'm not sure if other Trojan fans felt this way, but it was like, wow, this is just going to be another example of a season where Clay Helton is going to be completely average, maybe 1 or 2 games above 500, playing a meaningless bowl game. That's going to be it. So my mind during the USC Stanford game was he won't get fired. And it was killing me. It was killing me because it was killing me because it was like, no matter how bad this is and no matter how much of a shit show, it's just never going to end. It just won't end. So first play of the game, our kicker gets ejected for targeting. So I was like, ooh, okay. Now this isn't undisciplined football. This is gritty football. Watching it at that time. Now, hindsight, undisciplined football, careless mistakes. This is the reason why Helton should be fired, because he doesn't know how to coach a disciplined football team. But in the moment, I was like, ooh, this is kind of gritty. This is kind of exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a kicker get ejected for targeting. So that was actually really funny.
I have a take. I don't think kickers or punters should get ejected for targeting. I think if you get laid out by a kicker or a punter, then that's on you, man. You should sit at the end of the bench, head down, head in your knees, and just sit with that disappointment.
I don't even know if kickers and punters know that the targeting rule exists. Like, do you think they know what that is?
That's actually a very good point, because when has a kicker ever like there's like probably around 10. There's always 10 big hits from a kicker or a punter the entire year. This has never happens. And it also goes to show just also a little bit how lackluster our special teams are. The fact our kicker got there.
Yeah, yes. I mean, I don't know if kickers ever have to like read up on the targeting rule. They probably skip over that in the rule book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's where we were to begin the game. It's like, ooh, this is actually kind of electric. I've never seen a game start like this, but I kind of like it. There is a little fight, and then that was it. That was the only fight in the game. Imagine like your kicker having the most passion on the field.
Yeah, that's got to be tough.
Mm-hmm. So heading into this game, Stanford was dog shit against Kansas State. They had legitimately like 38 rushing yards against Kansas State, a team that will easily be forgotten about by the end of 2021 season. I don't care if that ages poorly. It's just right now, it's like, yeah, nobody's going to remember them. So on Saturday, it's like, this is a game we should win, 17-point favorites. Like I said before, everything was pointing that we should win this game. I know San Jose State was a little shaky, and then in the first quarter, they give up an 80-yard touchdown. On one play, Stanford doubled their rushing yards from a week before.
Is that kind of when reality settled in?
It's settled in, but then there is a little bit of hope where, you know what, every 2 or 3 games, even the best of teams, they're probably going to let one go. There's always going to be one big fuck up where everybody gets blocked, and it's going to come down to 1 or 2 players to make a play, and they're going to whiff.
Yeah.
So it's just the way football works. I'm obviously the best of the best are probably going to make those tackles that happened, and defensive linemen aren't going to get turned into little children and just pushed away. So I was like, you know what, that's the one little fuck up. And then, but what killed me the most was just the offense. The offense is stale. It's dead as a doornail. It is something that is painful to watch because USC, like over the years, watching Nelson Aguilar, Marquise Lee, Ronald Jones, Juju, Adoree, there's just always some juice in there. There's always some juice, and they're always going to get funky. You never know when it's going to get funky, but they're going to bring the funk. There was no funk, no funk.
Yeah, I mean, USC has always had that guy or a few guys on offense who are just absolutely like electric. Like they just make big plays, you know. They make the plays that go in as momentum changing plays or setting the tone, and I just haven't seen that this year.
There's always 1 or 2 guys where kids in Des Moines, Iowa, kids in Palmer, Massachusetts are going to watch their highlight tape. Besides like Drake London, there's really nobody on the team that's worthy of watching a highlight tape on a Chromebook in class.
Yeah, in the middle of an English class that you don't care about, just Harris highlights.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's really nobody there that's going to provide you with the electricity where you just feel good. There's always like a bounce, and there really is no bounce. Like Amon Ra brought that bounce last year. But there's always 1 or 2 guys who are like, yo, at any moment, 70-yard touchdown could happen. Doesn't matter where you are on the field. And we've seen that. And like Drake London is that guy, but you can't just have one guy. We know what Veve Malapai is going to do. He's not bad, not great. Ingram transfer from Texas, not bad, not great, a solid runner. But there's just no juice. It doesn't fire me up. And watching USC have a stale offense just kills me, knowing what the past was like.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess this is a solid segue as far as offense goes. Is Eric Bieniemy the guy to change that around?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I just want to final thought on USC Stanford. The reason why I'm so like not really going to just game analysis and specific plays is that throughout it was stale, because on my computer, so I had USC on my TV computer. On my computer, I was streaming Utah versus BYU, the Holy War. And you look at BYU and their fans are fucking nuts. Their fans are nuts. It's all blue. People are going wild. Like maybe being sober actually makes you a crazier fan. There's that take. But then also it's like, yeah, you're looking at a school who has real pride, and BYU, come on. I mean, they're never going to play for anything big. They've never played a national championship game, but they're bringing the juice. Those fans are there. When I was at San Jose State USC game, there was no juice in the stadium. There was no electricity. There was nobody going absolutely fucking nuts. The team is not worthy of getting hyped for in 90-degree weather. The sun's beating on you. There is no team. You don't want to know how bad USC is going to be for the rest of the season. It's not going to be worth getting a sunburn for.
Not going to be worth repeating what you did last time.
Well, I see. I lucked out. I got the shade. There's nobody.
Oh yeah. You were the shade. Yeah.
Having my eardrums pummeled by Lil Jon ad-libs.
Yeah. No, it's not looking great over there now that they have the interim coach. Just I don't know. I really, it's hard to say because there are talented players on this team and they should be in contention for the South, but who knows anymore?
Yeah. All right. But you do bring a good point. Now let's talk about coaching hires. So I mean, now we're past the next step. So final thought on Helton is that nice guy, doesn't know how to win. And there's nobody who had horror stories about him. I actually was able to spend some time with him, and super nice guy, but just kind of plain. And granted, it was a specific setting where It was this visit. It was like a hospital visit at Children's Hospital, LA. So you're not going to get super riled up, but nice guy will shake your hand, will be very polite. But as far as bringing the juice, a guy that's hilarious, a guy that's uplifting, will tell you jokes and everything. He's kind of not the guy, but a nice guy. A nice guy. It's hard to fire a nice guy. It's a lot easier to fire a guy like Steve Sarkisian, who showed up drunk to a press conference where there's things that are building beyond the scenes. Like, no, and nobody has said anything bad about Clay Helton. So Clay Helton, nice guy, and wish him the best, but not a good football coach.
No, just not the guy for USC.
No, and that's fine. And maybe he's such an problem with nice guys is they actually do last.
Yeah, in the sports world as coaches, yeah, they do last.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So now let's talk about coaching replacements. So I wanted to bring up this tweet from Joel Klatt because I think it's the epitome of where USC is at with head coaches and my fan perspective. So Joel Klatt tweeted out yesterday afternoon, if I was USC athletics AD, I would make following coaches tell me no before moving on: Lincoln Riley, Dabo Swinney, Brian Kelly, Urban Meyer, Ryan Day. After that, I would call the following: Mario Cristobal, James Franklin, Jeff Hafley, Eric Bieniemy, Josh McDaniels. All right, so knee-jerk reaction to this tweet.
Well, I saw this tweet last night, and listen, the first 5 where he said he wouldn't hang up until they say no, I don't think there's a shot in hell that any of those guys end up at USC. I don't think Urban Meyer is going to give up on Jacksonville this quickly. And that's been a really hot topic lately, but if they wanted him, they should have gotten him last year. Now, as far as the other guys go, I do like Cristobal. I think that would be a really good hire. I'm surprised he didn't mention Luke. I think Luke Fickell from Cincinnati is someone I've been hearing. I think he would be a good hire, but long story short, it should not be someone with ties to USC. And I don't know if that's how you feel. I don't know how USC fans feel about that. It needs to be an outside guy that's going to come in and create his own culture.
Mm-hmm. I think you do want that. So as far as like a mold, like not even a name attached to it, but I use Scott Frost as a good example of sometimes you want a guy who wasn't there for all the glory days and who fans hold as somebody who is so high up and brought them so much joy. You're going to let that Scott Frost example of that joy could plummet. And you do, I think, I do want restarting the culture. So I just love the idea of make them tell me no. Okay, well, Lincoln Riley is very close to being a national champion. Dabo Swinney, national champion. Why would he leave? There's no reason. Brian Kelly is a really good, Notre Dame made the playoff last year. And that's a really solid team where if they get one big 5-star quarterback, then I think they're set. Urban Meyer is the one guy that I'm like, there is a chance. Now, the only way we're going to get Urban Meyer is if his stock just plummets.
Yeah, I think the only way Urban Meyer leaves is maybe if Jacksonville goes winless.
And if Urban Meyer is going to come to USC, it's not going to be after a season where he goes 10-7 with the Jags, or a season where you're like, you know what, we lost some games, but I think there's a little bit of momentum here where the Jags can be good in the future and maybe sneak into a wild card. And we know how dog shit the AFC South is, but Urban Meyer's name is being thrown in there because the Jaguars just lost to what was supposed to be the most incompetent team in football. And with all these guys, and then so there's that. It's like, well, you're on the make them tell me no. The only guy whose stock is going to plummet is going to be Urban Meyer. That's the only way. I don't think any of those guys are leaving anytime soon. Unless USC wants to have an interim coach for the next 3 years, then I think Dabo and Lincoln are going to come along.
Yeah, and I mean, look, it's like we said, or it's like you said, Urban Meyer is not, I don't think is just going to give up. You know, he's not that type of guy where he wouldn't, if USC called him and said, come coach for us, I don't think he would just jump right in. I think he would be like, no, I'm committed to Jacksonville. Cause yeah, look, they could go 5-12, but they're competitive in a lot of those 12 losses and think, hey, next year in our horrible division, we got a shot. So I think USC needs to look at someone like Franklin or Cristobal or Bieniemy, someone a little more realistic.
But I just don't know how realistic it is. Besides, like, because Bieniemy is like Schechter tweeted out league sources have him Bieniemy as one of the favorites to coach at USC, but why? I don't understand that, and a lot of people are claiming for him to, and I agree with them, to be a head coach in the NFL. So I don't really know, but Mario Cristobal, Oregon is fucking rolling. We're going to get into that game, but Mario Cristobal is a guy who could walk into any bar, get a free round of drinks in Eugene. This is how it is. James Franklin, after shitty season last year, it looks like they're building something. They're looking solid to start the year, and they were solid to end the year. So the momentum isn't there. McDaniels, why would he leave? Like, that's one of the only guys who I'm like, oh, okay, there's a chance. But the only way Bieniemy is going to leave is if it's a fire fest in Kansas City.
Yeah, but I mean, he does have LA ties. I mean, he was a running back coach at UCLA at one point, and he has stated that he USC is a college job he's interested in. But yeah, I don't know. I think he's got it pretty good in Kansas City right now.
Yeah. And it's going to be interesting to see what his like actual input is, besides I'm going to focus on the season at hand, because who knows, maybe he actually wants a different kind of lifestyle. Maybe there's something behind the scenes that we don't know about, but the Chiefs aren't in a bad place. They really aren't. I mean, nearly lost Sunday, but they're fine. They're going to be fine. They're going to be a playoff team this year. And then who knows what's going to happen when they get to the playoffs, but there's no sign. There's no, like, the Grim Reaper isn't like looming around Kansas City waiting to strike.
No, not at all.
No. All right. So I know, Jesus Christ, that was a lot of USC talk.
That was the most I think I've ever talked about USC in my entire life.
Yeah. So I'll flip it. I'll shut the fuck up. Let's get into some UC. So Oregon, Ohio State recap. Oregon is very good. Ohio State fans are ready to murder CJ Stroud.
Yeah. I mean, wow, that was a huge win, not just for Oregon, but for the Pac-12 as a conference to go in to that stadium. That's a hostile environment to go in there and win. And this is a conference that hasn't had a playoff participant since 2016. The Pac-12 people look down on the Pac-12. Yeah. And this is the Pac-12. This is the Pac-12's first non-conference road victory against the top 5 teams since 1990.
No.
Yes. First non-conference road victory over a top 5 team since 1990.
I am
1990.
My jaw literally hit my knees. I am speechless.
Think of how that's how massive of a win this was for this conference.
God. Holy shit. For the many few times in my life, I have nothing to say or be an idiot and try and say and bumble my way through.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of a mic drop moment right there.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the show. That's wrap up.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yeah. You can follow me on social media. Yeah, that's incredible. I have nothing left to say. Yeah, it was that. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Do you want to move on? I think that kind of covers that.
Yeah. No, I'm good.
Okay. All right.
Last thing, the leader of the marching band tripped on his way in.
Oh yes, that was amazing. State. Yes, they knew they were going to lose right then and there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, he had a good recovery. He's going to recover from that trip in front of hundreds of thousands of people watching, hundreds of millions people watching on their TV, better than I can from hearing that stat.
I think I broke you.
You did. Holy shit.
Okay. Are you good? Do you need me to take the lead here?
I'll battle my way through. Okay. This is Kobe getting up after rupturing his Achilles.
Yeah, you're hitting your free throws right now.
All right, you know what? I'm going to sink the free throw right now. UCLA, Fresno State. I think I'm going to go watch this game. This is once UCLA has just somehow found its way into being one of my almost like teams that I'm most looking forward to watch.
Oh, dang it. I thought you were going to say favorite.
I was going to say favorite.
I thought you were going to say the F word.
one of the teams I'm most fucking excited to watch every day of the week, every game, every week, every Saturday. So yeah, I'm sure you're pumped as well because this is once again another test.
Look, I've got some heavy opinions on this game. This is a bigger test to me than LSU. LSU was a fraud from the start. They shouldn't have been ranked where they were. UCLA did what they should have done. Fresno State, if UCLA wins this game, oh no, I don't want to say what I was going to say anymore. Okay, if UCLA wins this game, they win the Pac-12 South, and I don't think it will be particularly close.
You know what? I agree.
I think there is some heavy upset potential here. I could see Fresno State walking out with a win. I don't know if our offense can keep up. I do know their defense can do what they can to slow them down. This is the biggest test of the year so far until they play Oregon. But if UCLA wins this game, the South is theirs, and I think they represent the Pac-12 South in the championship game.
Yeah, I love UCLA in this spot to win the Pac-12 South. If I was to bet on them, then be like, yeah. But I actually have Fresno State to cover. The line is +11. I got them at +11.5. This is just a good test because I love Jake Haener. He had another incredible game. Fresno State had 63 points with 14 minutes left to play in the fourth quarter against Cal Poly. So that could have been a major letdown spot of they won't covered and then some. Jake Haener, like I said before, awesome. And yeah, because like there's few teams that had like as little, like there's always a group 5 team to make the bump to being, ooh, this team could get a little frisky. Fresno State could get very frisky. UCLA is also one of the bottomish tiers of the Power 5 where they're going to make that jump. And this is a game of who's friskier, who's more horny.
Yeah, this is exactly that. This is the who's more horny game.
Mm-hmm. Like who's really fly. I mean, 2 a.m. you're shooting out you up texts. Who is the horniest? Who can also pull the most? Like who is the guy who could walk up to a chick at a bar and just pull her? You are the how about them apples guy.
Yeah. No, this is a big one. This is going to be one of the better games of the week.
Yeah, so we're not going to dive into too much because I just want to see what actually happens, and we'll save that as our big game recap for next episode for next week. Yes, I'm really excited for this game because I'm sold on Jake Haener. He's just a fucking dog. He'll run you over. He'll get up, pound his chest like King Kong, and then throw 5 tubs in your face.
Yep.
Big test going to be or for UCLA.
Big test. Yep.
Big test. Awesome game. Hopefully I'm able to sneak my way into the Rose Bowl. Okay. So let's do a mini Penn State Auburn preview. We'll start our picks with that game. What do you got?
So, I mean, look, the whiteout at Penn State's stadium, I don't know exactly what their stadium's called, but their whiteout tradition that they do is awesome. It's one of the best traditions in college football. And I'm really looking forward to that. When I was coming up with a pick for this game, I was really struggling because Auburn and Penn State are both 2-0 this year. They're both 2-0 against the spread, and Auburn's 2-0 hitting their over, and Penn State is 0-2 hitting their over. But I am going to go with over 53 in Auburn, Penn State. I'm expecting some offense. I'm expecting a great atmosphere. I'm expecting it to be a really close, intense game.
Mm-hmm.
So over 53 will start my picks.
Okay. So I texted you last night that I had a stat.
Oh,
I think it's unassailable. I don't think you could argue it. College Game Day will be making its way to Penn State. Now, what happens when a home team hosts when College Game Day comes to your town? You're going to lose. Week 0, Alcorn State, they lost. Week 1, Clemson, they lost. Week 3, Iowa State, they lost. Auburn +6. Fade the tradition. Jump around. Did absolutely nothing for Wisconsin when they played each other first game of the year. All that tradition went out the window. You fade the tradition. Auburn +6 outscored opponents 122-10 to start the year. I love this spot. Bo Nix, is he going to probably disappoint me? Yeah. But I think there's going to be enough there to where it's been like, ooh, Auburn is a little frisky and just enough to sneak in +6. I'm going to fade the tradition. And I think Penn State could have easily lost Wisconsin game. And I'm like, ooh, I really like this. Not enough to say it's my lock of the week, but I like where I'm at with this game.
Okay.
Yeah. Fade game day, fade tradition.
Huh. I didn't realize that the game day hosts had lost every game this year.
Yep. Yep. All right.
That's interesting.
Let's fire away for picks. Give them to me, and then I'll shoot mine to end the show.
So you want me to run through all of them?
Yeah.
Okay. I've got BYU money line. I think this is a big hill to climb for ASU. This is a big game for Jaden Daniels to try and go in there and win and then prove himself and prove Arizona State as contenders. So I think BYU is going to be rocking. Like you said, you're crazier as a fan when you're sober. I think those Mormons are I think it's just going to be a gritty game. I think it's going to be low scoring, and I think that favors BYU. So I like BYU money line. I like over 62.5 in UCLA Fresno State. I think that's going to be a shootout. We already kind of explained that. Over 62.5. I like Alabama spread. Say what you want about Florida. I just don't see it. I think Alabama is just going to steamroll them. And then do you want me to say you need a girlfriend and fuck it, or should I wait and you can do the other ones and then we'll do those together?
Yeah, just wait. We'll do those together.
Okay. All right. So those are mine. That's my stuff. You're up.
Yeah. All right. Coastal Carolina -13.5 against Buffalo. Covered again last week with the spread I gave out. Jumped a little, but the spread I gave out, that covered. And it's just the most fun team in the world to watch. Molts are going crazy. The teal field literally fucks up the cameras because of how bright the color is. So the contrast just ruins hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of camera work. That's awesome. Grace McCall, no signs of slowing down. That offense will jump down your throat. And I know Buffalo murdered Wagner, and then Buffalo lost to Nebraska. I think they're not enough. I just love Coastal Carolina in that spot, and get it while it's hot, because I think the line is only going to jump. There was one line I saw on Sunday that was -10.5, and I was like, fuck, I wish I could have got that. The line's moving up. Hopefully it won't move any higher, but get -13.5 while it's hot for Coastal Carolina. Now, major trap game right here. I have Minnesota +2 versus Colorado. Trap game of the century. Colorado was almost upset Texas A&M top 10 team last week, but Texas A&M, their starting quarterback got hurt immediately. The backup had 2 yards going into the last drive of the first half for them. I think this is a team that isn't very good and that will get exposed when all the there's always one or a couple trap games of the week. This is my trap game of the week. Minnesota cover the spread. Then I have Alabama -15 versus Florida. It's Bama. Dan Mullins I don't know why he's not starting Anthony Richardson over Emory Jones, where literally every time Richardson touches the ball, he's either throwing 80-yard touchdowns or running for 80-yard touchdowns. And I love this. Until Alabama doesn't, they're just going to knock their fucking socks off. I love it. Already mentioned Fresno State +11.5 versus Florida. Gave my reason for that. Fresno State is awesome, and I love the spot for them. I think this is a time where they could show the country what they're made of. Put the Mountain West put the whole country on the Mountain West, put them on the map. Like I just said, Auburn +6 against Penn State. We already went into that. And then I have a different pick for BYU Arizona. I was thinking BYU money line, but I think Utah is absolutely awful. There was two really bad turnovers in the first half. You're like, oh my God, is this a quarterback who just got called up from like the local JV team in Salt Lake? And bad fumble by the running back. BYU only scored 6 points off of that, and great running game. So I think that's going to help them. And I think the juice of being at home with those crazy fucking fans is going to help them, but ultimately not going to lead to an actual win. Even though I was thinking money line as well after going back to watching the highlights, I was like, you know what? I don't think BYU is as good as I thought they were. Like I said, watching them side by side with USC, they were electric, and there's some juice there, but I don't think they're going to win. But Arizona State is also a team that has a nice offense as well. Jaden Daniels is going to be somebody who I don't think he'll be the best quarterback in the Pac-12, but he is a great one. He is a great one. And I trust in him. He's an awesome rusher, had over 100 yards in rushing last week against UNLV. So I think there's enough there for him, for both teams, to at least sneak out four-ish touchdowns. And I think there's enough to hit the over. I think love that. And let's get into, so I'm going to ride your fuck it pick of the week. And then I'll start with my girlfriend pick of the week. I have Southern Mississippi +10 versus Troy. Southern Mississippi covered last week against Grambling State, and there was legitimately a baby born in the tunnel.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'm just gonna keep on writing that, because just that's what the You Need a Girlfriend is for, where you have teams where there's births and like there's literally a wet nurse in the stadium.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. That's crazy.
Yeah. You'd expect for a birth not to be done in the hospital to be done at BYU.
Oh yeah, that's a BYU. That seems like a BYU thing to do, honestly.
Mm-hmm. There's probably like at least within the 50,000 or however many thousand people in stands, there's at least 2,000 midwives.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, and then we'll wrap up with you giving your You Need a Girlfriend pick of the week and your fuck it pick of the week. And I will ride your fuck it pick of the week.
Okay. My You Need a Girlfriend pick is over 59.5 in Middle Tennessee State and UTSA. Both of these teams have put up at least 150 spot this year. And sorry, UTSA's hit the over both times. So these are two good offenses that can put up a lot of points. So I like over 59.5. And my fucking pick is Liberty spread over Old Dominion. Liberty has outscored their opponents by an average of 24.5 points. The spread is 20. I think I got it at 28. And I think when I last checked, it was 27.5. Liberty -28. They score a lot of points. Old Dominion doesn't. It's pretty simple.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sweet. And I just realized I fucked up on my Minnesota pick. It's Minnesota +3 versus Colorado. I think I accidentally said -2. It's +3 versus Colorado. Okay. Right. So awesome show. Hope you guys really enjoyed it. If you would like to follow myself on social media, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at MattWeiner20. If you'd like to follow Edward on his social media, you can find him on Instagram and Twitter at Edward_Vento. But if you have no care in the world for anything Edward has to say about movies or anything I have to say in general, then you can catch all OK Takes content on OK Takes Pod on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at OKAY Takes Pod. That is OKAY Takes Pod. Takes 2 seconds, one click of the button will help us tremendously. I appreciate it a ton. So thank you guys for tuning in to episode 27 of OK Takes. Have a wonderful day.